I think it's all about the mindset. The more pressure you put on yourself, the more passive you are, and then you're afraid of making mistakes. So, if you approach the game with a little bit of a chill and excitement for what you do, then just do it.
They are young. They earn a lot of money. And they are famous all around the globe for playing a game. This is the official podcast of a professional esports team. These are the ESPORTS ROCSTARS. We just started into Summer Split 2018, and ROCCAT's podcast crew in Hamburg in Germany is on air again. Welcome, Tien.
Hello.
ROCCAT's head of social media, esports addict, and semi-professional American football player. My name is Fred. I'm ROCCAT's multimedia producer, and we are both recording this podcast with a ROCCAT Can Pro headset, and I'm really excited about announcing this episode's topic. We are going to talk about the psychology of esports. Today's guest is a very special part of Team ROCCAT staff. She is the team's psychologist. Welcome, Urszula Klimczak.
Hi, how are you guys?
Very good, and you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good, thank you.
Did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, it's Urszula, but you can call me just Ula. It's much easier.
Ula?
Yeah, that is correct.
And does the Polish football national team need a psychologist now? After the huge loss?
I would say so. And actually, watching yesterday's game, I turned it off like in the middle. I was like, no, I'm not going to watch it anymore. Yeah, definitely they do.
Yeah.
So we're recording one day after the Polish loss against Japan.
The World Championship.
Senegal.
Oh, Senegal. Oh no, Japan was against, who did Japan play?
I'm not sure.
But Japan won yesterday as well. Oh, against Colombia.
Yeah. Urszula, you are calling from Poland, and we start every show with 10 quick questions. We want you to answer them just right from the heart. Don't think too long about it, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go. What's your favorite food and drink?
Food and drink. Oh my God, food. I like cheesecake and drink. Mojito?
Mojito.
Okay, next time we meet, we drink a mojito.
Okay.
What's your favorite League of Legends champion?
Morgana.
You can morph into one League of Legends champion in real life. Which one do you choose and why?
I think it would be Morgana as well. I mean, why? It's a little bit of a dark personality she has, and I also have my dark personality somewhere hidden, so it would be kind of a fun to release that.
And sometimes it's just fun to be bad.
Yeah, there you go.
And what's your favorite game of all time?
There was plenty of games in my life. It would be really difficult for me to pick one. I mean, definitely the most time I spent with WoW, but I was also playing quite a lot of League of Legends. I don't know.
Let's say the most influential one.
The most influential is definitely League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what's your favorite music?
I love dubstep. I'm like really into Lindsay Sterling's and Vanessa May's music. So that would be my call.
What do you love the most about being a professional esports psychologist?
Meeting people and seeing how they change within days. This is like so fascinating, and especially if I can put my hands on the change, this is even more rewarding.
What do you really hate about being an esports psychologist?
I think the fact that people are mixing my profession with psychiatrist. Some players believe that what I do is I'm trying to, do whatever with their head. But mostly my task is that I'm trying to improve what they're already good at. So basically, my role is to develop them, not to give them, not to get into their head, but kind of to support them.
So it's more like a give and take. So they have to put something into it, and you just help them along.
Yeah. If
So
they don't open, I can't work.
So you don't try to cure them from anything. You try to improve them.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we will be talking about exactly that in some seconds, but let's just move on with our 10 quick questions. When you're preparing for a match, do you have any rituals?
But you mean when I'm preparing the team or when I'm preparing myself?
Let's say if you're in the studio with the team, do you have like any rituals?
The only ritual I have is like before the game is I like to see how they respond into the on stage, environment. I always go in front of of them to watch their faces when they are doing the pick and bands. So then I can work and compare. So basically my ritual is like I jump into the studio, I watch how they behave. Then I jump into to the audience part stage, like the audience part of the stage. I watch them pick and bands, I'm making my notes, and then I jump on the headset to listen to them and their communication during the game.
So what you did last week.
Yeah, exactly.
You are stranded on a lonely island. What are your 3 personal items you take with you?
Okay. Definitely an umbrella to avoid sun a little bit. Not to get burned too much. Definitely some kind of a source of food and drink.
You have to be specific.
What is some kind of source
Okay.
for food and drink?
Okay, so I'll do it like that. I will take umbrella. I will take a magic wand where I can kind of, grab whatever I need. And what else? Could be computer. No, I don't need
A
computer.
computer
No.
without internet and electricity.
A magic wand? Are you serious?
Serious?
Yeah,
Yeah, why not?
my-
I mean, if you are going to dream, I would definitely take it, and then it's
man.
just being lazy and
You-
grabbing myself everything I need.
You found the exploit. The system is dead now.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, and the
Sorry.
last and most important question: which key is best for Flash, D or F?
I think I've got D. Yeah, definitely.
D for definitely.
Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Let's go in deep. Let's talk about you. Where are you from? You are from Poland. We already answered that question, right? And
Yeah.
And how did you become part of the world of professional esports?
Basically, it happened a couple of years ago. I was always into gaming, and actually, the person that connected me to esport was Vander. Accidentally, I was speaking with him on one of the chats, and I was like, "Yeah, how you guys doing? And what do you guys need at the moment?" He's like, "Yeah, we definitely." I think there was a kind of situation that ROCCAT was losing back then, or something. It was the old team with Vander, Jankos, and the whole kind of a Polish crew. So I said, "Okay, so I think I'm also going into the Polish game arena." Where the Team ROCCAT was there. So I just said, okay, I'll just jump in and say hi. It's like, yeah, go ahead. And then I met the whole team. I met Fly, and we kind of agreed that I can try to start working with the team a little bit to see whether the sports psychology can actually be impactful on their performance.
So when was that? Which year?
It was 4 years ago, so like 2014 or something.
So really, really early.
Yeah. But back then it wasn't the best moment for the players to start working with a person like myself. Sports psychology was like totally not popular, and the players were really afraid that literally I'm psychiatrist, like I'm a shrink, or I'm going to do whatever. So they were pretty skeptical about what I wanted to do with them. They were not really willing to open up. So we decided that for this moment, it's like no go yet. It's not yet something that can be impactful on their performance.
So you studied psychology, right?
Yeah, business psychology.
Okay.
It was management and business psychology. Basically, I'm a manager myself. I used to work in a company. Had two teams of like 18 people, and I was managing them. These were like teams that were. It was partially education, partially sales, you could say. And yeah, I was always fascinated with psychology. So managing the teams and being able to develop the people and showing them directions was like really fun to me. But then when I was watching also the games, because I'm a person that was watching even the first World Cup or Fnatic one. So I was watching the environment. I was like, yeah, those guys need so much support. I mean, the esports environment needs so much knowledge and passion in there. So it is really like fun place for the players to be. And luckily I managed to connect my experience and adapt it to the esport world. And so far so good. The results are there. So yeah.
Okay.
So you quit your old job, not because of esports, right?
No. I mean, I'm still employed now. I'm on maternity leave, but I have a little bit more time to focus on esport, and my goal is actually to totally devote myself. If it's doable, I would like my whole career to be connected with esport.
So you really were into gaming and esports before you became the official psychologist of Team ROCCAT, right?
Course.
Yeah, of course,
yeah,
yes.
You can blame my brother for that. He's an IT guy, and when I was younger, he was the first one that actually introduced me into the gaming. And and apart from like regular studies and playing volleyball half professionally, I was also playing quite a lot of computer games as well.
So the first World Championship at Dreamhack, was it the first moment where you realized, oh, I could connect these two things together, or was it later?
Yeah. I mean, it was the first time I was like, I was watching it and I was like, yeah, the stuff there could be a little bit more professional. But then, when the first, when Riot was really making the nice studio and the championships, and the regular seasons were there, I was like watching the games, and that was the moment for me that I would love to work in that environment.
Okay, so continue. So you got the introduction into Team ROCCAT with Fly. You mostly also worked with Vander and Jankos back then, as far as I know, or I recall. So what were the next steps? Because I think there was a little bit of a gap between us working with you and between the area between Jankos and Vander.
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, there was this gap. During that gap, I get some connections in the esport world with people that are doing similar things that myself. These are like Robert Dipp, Weldon Green, Summer Scott. Basically, they are now all working with NA teams. I mean, Weldon was working with G2. I'm not sure whether he's there the split. I haven't seen him yet, the split, so I'm not sure. But we established Esport Coaching Network. And in that network, we were simply doing, you could call like a bit of a charity work for the esport. So basically, people that were willing to be, professional coaches or wanted to go to our professions, we were providing them with some podcasts, with some trainings, with some discussions. So we were just doing like behind the scene work to improve the whole environment. So we were just sharing our knowledge with people around there. There are like 2-3 coaches now that are currently working in esport that are actually my students, our students, but I don't want to reveal the names. But it turned out that they are now very successful.
Nice. So from the first period before that gap, with the work with Team ROCCAT, what kind of results did you see, or what kind of results did you take out of it?
With the first, you mean like when I started working with Team ROCCAT, right?
Yeah, Jankos Vander lineup.
The results were not as I expected them to be, because again, the sports psychology became a little bit more popular when TSM brought on board Weldon, and they made a lot of boom around it. But in Europe, it was still not that, the players were not still sure whether I am the type of a person that is able to help them out. So mostly our discussions were focused on, what is their plan, what is the growth, and so on. And the impact was not there. The results were not there yet because the players were not open yet. So even though I had discussions with them, I was trying to develop them a little bit. The results were not as I expected. Meanwhile, I managed to jump into consulting the TSM. I was consulting parts for some managerial things and also like organizational wise. And back then, I've noticed how others work. So that was the moment when I decided that for now I'll be working a little bit more closely with the coach. And then I jumped into working with players. I think back then I was working with Duck or Ducky. And then jumping here and there, consulting quite a lot. So basically lots of the decisions that he was making were after the consultation with myself. So basically as the players were not really keen to work with me, again I was working with them through their coach a little bit.
So the connection never got lost between Rocket and you?
No, not at all. Actually, the biggest visibility of my work was last year.
Yeah,
that was the moment when finally the players get into the thinking that a person like myself is really able to help them out.
So our thinking was, so I can maybe share our thinking why we kind of hired you again, like full time, was that we thought like, hey, we can't keep switching players, it doesn't work. Like it has to be something else than just switching players and hoping that we will have another honeymoon phase and it will go good again for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we need to switch again. So we remember the results we got from Jankos and Vender as a personality, because I think they opened more up after they worked with you. Because
bit, yes.
The way I remember them, they were really shy, never talking, and nobody can believe that nowadays. But they were really shy back in the days. So that's how we hired you, and then you started working with the lineup, correct? And we started like 07.
Exactly, it was 07, and the teams. The key, I guess, to success is not changing the players all the time, but it's to give the players time to adapt. It's like a new couple, they're starting dating together, and they all of a sudden they live together, so they need to kind of find the match, right? They need to start clicking, they need to start accepting how they cooperate with each other. And the same is with the team, like they need time to digest, to get used to each other, and then everything is clicking for them quite right. So again, introducing a change is introducing another storming phase into the team. So every single change in people wise, it's always a drop with the results.
Okay, but there's some examples where it can maybe work, but
Ulla, for people like us, like Tien, me, I'm sure most of our listeners who are not professional psychologists, what you're doing is quite mysterious. Can you try to explain us what you are doing in your day job? So how does your work with the team look like?
Okay, so basically at this moment, my cooperating looks like that I'm on like everyday connection with the players. Maybe I'll start with the split. At the very, very beginning of the split, we decided that I would like to also speak with the players that we're going to hire for Team ROCCAT, just to see how, I shouldn't say a word like coachable they are, because you can actually, if the person wants, you can coach every single person, but how manageable they are, like what kind of issues the team may have once hiring them. So we were trying to, along with Freddie and Fly, we were trying to establish like the best optimal team by gathering really rookie guys. Like the guys were still like quite new to the scene. So, we were trying to find the perfect match and balance. So they have similar thinking, so they have similar goals, but at the same time, so they're different, so they can fulfill each other's role really well. So that was the beginning. Once we kind of started, I was on Skype with them most of the time, having discussions. I couldn't travel last split, unfortunately. So my role was a little bit limited to Skype. Was due to the personal reasons. But this split, I managed to work with them, and I'm working exactly the same as I was doing last year during the spring split, when there is this peak of performance for the guys. So basically, bi-weekly or like once a month, I'm trying to visit the guys in their gaming house. But at the same time, I'm really connected with them on Skype, and we talk openly about what's going on inside the team, what kind of difficulties they have, what kind of strengths, what is new. So basically, I'm the kind of a person that they can vent out to, but also I'm a type of a person where they can trust, they can open up, and if something is really bothering them, I'm trying to help them out with stuff like sleeping issues, like tilt, choking on stage, lack of discipline, and all the stuff that are happening with the team. So basically, I'm just trying to find a solution into everything that is bothering them. And in most cases, it also requires trust towards myself, but also towards the players they have. So I also work on the trust inside of the team, because this is like really important. Like the better the players feel in the team, the better results they have. So the mood, the atmosphere, and everything around needs to be really, how should I say it? Like really on a high level. Like the more excited they are and the more excited they get up, the more productive the day will be for them.
So let's get back to that split from last year, where we turned it around from 0 to 7 to where we end up. What did we end up? 7-7, 8-7? I'm not sure.
It was actually 7. No, it was 7-7 or something like that.
Yeah. So what was what made it click? Like, what do you think, in your opinion, changed this team? Like, it was 180 turnaround.
Okay, so the team was on a losing streak. What does it mean? Like when you constantly lose, you lose also not necessarily the spirit for what you do, but also you lose your belief in yourself, and your ability is going down. The guys were chosen for the team for a reason. And, they all had skills. They all had, a kind of willingness. So they really wanted to win, but they didn't know how to start clicking. The issue they were having is that they had all the tools, but they didn't know how to use them. So the moment I jumped in, it was the moment where their motivation was really down. They started doubting themselves quite a lot. So my role was mostly into reminding them that they are the chosen one, and that there are not many people in the world that are doing what they're doing, that it was always their dream. So I get back to their original motivation to remind them that, they are in a place where they wanted to be, and they need to kind of show their passion for what they're doing and their skills, of course. So to fix that, we had to fix trust and the relationships in the team, and we had to make some clear rules regarding how we behave, how we speak with each other, how we communicate during the game, to make stuff easier for the team. And also, everybody in that moment when you're losing constantly, there's always a moment that you're looking for a blame, like you're looking for a reason. So at a certain point, everybody's blaming each other, that if one person is making a bad play, then the person would be the blame this day. And the next day, something bad happened again, there'll be another person. So the number of conflicts and the mood in the team was not the best. So also my role was to fix that. And it was actually, I managed to do it through hard work of the guys. They were working really hard to fix everything. They were a little bit desperate to finally start performing. So they had their arms open, and they were grabbing everything I was telling them, and they were applying it straight away. So it's really a lot of hard work from their side that they did to change and to start applying things as soon as they got them on a golden plate, actually. So the moment I jumped in, I remember really well that they lost the first game, and it's natural because it's the change curve. Like in the change curve, there is always this denial stage that, you know, you're giving a lot of knowledge, but then all of a sudden you think like, okay, maybe this is not necessarily what I should be applying. But then when you realize, okay, what if I start? So then there is this, you know, exploring phase. You give yourself time to adapt and to change to adjust the new things. Then you start performing. So we lost the first game once I entered, but it's natural, it's normal. Like this is the regular change curve, and it's always like that the motivation is down after the new things are introduced. And then, you know, when they started applying everything started clicking. So I had no doubt we will not lose a single game because every single player was very skilled, and they had everything that was needed to start winning.
Mm-hmm.
So I was visiting them last year during the spring split, I think 3 times. And basically we were constantly connected on Skype. So every time something bad happened or they wanted to talk about, they were always, you know, getting into me to find a solution together.
Talking about the general mindset of players, are there some widely spread mistakes players make? Do you have some examples?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake of the players is the mindset that they think that they're good enough to win the game on their own. Mm-hmm. I think this is like the most common mistake they're making, especially the good players, the players that want to perform really well. And it is a little bit connected with ego, but ego and success, these are the two things that are very close to each other. And the only, I would say, mistake the players are making is that they're having ego, but they're not working on managing this ego. So the ego is growing, but at a certain point, the ego achieves the peak. Like you can't be anymore like really, you know, showing what you do. If you're not managing it, then you just, you know, hit the roof and you can't be any better. But if you're managing your ego and you're like self-aware about what you do and how you do, and you still give yourself and you're still lifting yourself the bracket a little bit higher and a little bit higher, then it makes you work harder to achieve more, and it gives you still kind of a goal to aim towards. So basically, you constantly work on your improvement, which is really good. But you need to every player needs to realize that you can't win a 5-people game on your own, right? And the moment you realize that, everything changes. Mm. Your mindset changes and the way how you look at your team, because not to lie, the team is as good as the worst player in the team. So if the team is not assisting the worst player and is not developing the player, they will not move on. They will be stuck in the same moment. So it's kind of a team effort to start winning. And I guess that was also what happened last year. We had also, you know, some players that they were thinking that, you know, they can win on their own and they don't need any support. Luckily, they understood their mistake very quickly. They started adopting it, and now they're kind of, you know, in their peak performance in unfortunately playing in other teams, but, you know, seeing them how they grew within a year is like really rewarding for me, even though I'm not in direct contact with them.
From your perspective, are there differences between like conventional sports and esports?
In the way you deal with psychology?
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. At some point, like, I would say the regular sport is not that demanding as the esport, because like if you compare now playing football and playing League of Legends, like if you start playing football and you start your training at 9 a.m., then you play for 8 hours or like something like that, with little breaks for food and everything. Then you just, have like 2 hours break, and then you get back to playing football. It will be like, 12 or 14 hours playing football a day. Your body may not stand it for some time, right?
Yeah,
But if you compare
sounds
it
quite
to
tough.
esport, yeah, if you compare to esport, actually this is the esport reality. This is how the players function. So, at some point it's more difficult to convince the player that their body may simply not be able to handle that pressure for a long time. At the very beginning, when they're new to esport, they're really excited to play as much as they can, to get to know the new champions, especially with the current meta. They need to research a lot, so they spend a lot of time in front of the computer. But the thing is that long term, your body will be exhausted. And, in the middle of the split, you already feel tired. And by the end of the split, when your performance is really needed, like to be on a really peak, then basically what may happen is like, a little bit tired. You may get a little bit burned out with the amount of games that you play. With the regular esport, it's not that easy because the body is simply limiting the amount of hours they work. With esport, the gens are sitting in front of the computer and basically they don't feel tired until the moment they're actually in bed. So this is like, I would say, the biggest difference on how you work with the players, because you need to be able to make them realize that this is also a job, and it's, as their sleep, their normal working hours, them having a break, going to the cinema, like doing regular shopping or even cooking, like anything is required during the day so they can reset themselves. And it may sound a little bit harsh or weird, but the more you take away the game from them, the more hungry they are next day to play it. And the better they're better performing. So if they overstayed and if they play like, I don't know, like 14 hours, within a day, they'll be tired of the game and the hunger will be gone. So also they will be looking at the game slightly different. So I guess for me that this is like the biggest difference, because like the pressure and also like the choke or like the passive performance, like this happens also in a regular sport. So,
also the life cycle. I mean, in esports, if you don't perform, you're gonna be replaced in like half a year. And with football, you still have like lower leagues where you can like maybe settle down and come back up to the higher leagues. And you don't have that really. So
I mean,
the
a couple
pressures.
of years ago when I was starting my work with esport, I was saying to myself, and also when we were like doing those training within the esport coaching network, I was like really open to say like every team should have a sub that that is able to replace the player. And like it doesn't matter whether it's a good player or not, whether it's a leader of the team or something, but if you have an option to replace the player, the players feel that they are a little bit threatened. So there is something that they have to be always performing on their maximum level. Like there is no slacking. Like they're always giving their heart and energy there. If the sub player is like not with the players, or like it's not kind of a threat for them, very often the players may not be as open to changes and as open to the like regular rhythm, like the daily cycle, because it's more comfortable for them to do things like slightly different than normally. So I would always suggest teams to have a person that when somebody is down on the performance, is tired of the game, to have this person in place, so the person can be replaced for a day or two and get back to work with full of energy and full excitement that he or she, also she, because girls also play, or she is like able and capable of being on the best performance that day. So it's really useful.
So if you have like a player who doesn't believe at all in the benefit of your work, how do you deal with him?
I mean, it's difficult to work with that player. Last year, one of the players in the ROCCAT team was like not really keen on what I was doing. and it was connected mostly with the age. Like young players, they don't see the benefit of it, and it's very often that they don't necessarily understand it yet because they haven't been playing for a certain amount of time. So they don't realize also what kind of issues they're having. So it's difficult for them to work with me because they're not sure what to work on. And that player actually got back to me this year saying that he appreciates now this year what I've been doing because he's now in a different team and he's looking at stuff like totally different, in a different way. So it makes me, think that even though I'm trying to work with these players and trying to force a little bit some actions and, communication and trying to improve them, even though they don't want them, they want that, it basically stays there somewhere. So I'm not saying it's easy to work with such players, but the only thing that makes me happy is that, there's always this little knowledge that will stay with them and they will be able to use it when they need it.
Okay, but like in the first moment, how do you deal with them? Do you like ignore them a bit more or do you force them?
No, not at all. On the opposite, I'm trying to get them more engaged. Like I'm asking them lots of questions, especially if I'm doing team exercises, to get them engaged, because those players tend to switch off themselves when I'm talking.
Yeah.
So to regain their focus, I'm just trying to engage them all the time, asking them individually lots of questions. So if players don't want to work with me, they will have a bit. Yeah, I'll kind of a bit force them to do that.
Yeah. So for your work, sorry.
But on a personal level, it's difficult to force them if they are not sharing their difficulties openly, because then I just can't work from them. Very often what I hear is like, I'm fine, I don't need anything. And then I'm asking lots of questions. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with stress? Like if you compare your performance on scrims and on stage, do you see any difference? I'm just trying to give them directions where to look for the issues they might be facing. But sometimes it's like clearly visible and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, I may have problem with that. But sometimes it's like they just don't want to admit.
So in general, would you say having in-game knowledge is required to work in an esports team?
Yeah, I think so, because first of all, you are like fully aware what the players do and you have the knowledge and understanding of their issues, the situations they're in. So I guess if you would put me now on being like behavior analyst or sports psychologist for like regular football team, I would need a couple of days and observations to properly adapt to what they do to be able to apply my knowledge, right? So, I don't have that much football knowledge and I wouldn't be able to give them my 100% because my understanding of what they do wouldn't be on the same level as it is now in esports.
You wouldn't put someone who never played League in his life or doesn't even know what it is in your position, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not never, but if I would be hiring a regular sports psychologist for esport, I would definitely like this person to dive a little bit deeper into understanding before he or she starts work.
Yeah. How would you describe Team ROCCAT's group dynamics right at the moment?
You see, this is something that I was asking myself when I've been there last week, and I was like looking at them, and I think the dynamic is there. Like they're really, how should I say it? They are excited about what they're doing. They are really focused and concentrated, and they know what they want to achieve. The only thing that they were missing, I think, was the trust a little bit. So for me, I would put them on the border between the storming phase of the team with the norming. So they didn't they're not one body yet, but they're going up the stream. So the performance is getting higher and higher. So for me, there is still a bit of a work to do with them. but I guess they are getting into the norming phase of the of the stage model of group dynamic.
So, but the essentials are there, you would say?
Yeah, the essentials are there. Like they have the knowledge, they have the will. They were a little bit lost, but I guess it was mostly due to the break. Now they just need to get back on track. Plus, there's like one huge thing that is working on their motivation, which is the new patch. This patch requires a lot of change, and it also requires a lot of work from the players. And this makes them also to spend a lot of hours watching the league, watching every single region as well, to be up to date with the meta and to be practicing new champions all the time. So the work is there, the engagement is there. I think that the only thing they need at this moment is this little click, like putting the click on the trust button. They need to start trusting each other and believing each other. And if they achieve that, I think they will be like definitely in the norming phase, and within 2 or 3 weeks time, they will go into the performing stage.
So how do you rate like the performance on the last weekend? I mean, on Friday we got totally stomped when we were there, but on Saturday it was like a totally different performance. But we saw this also last split already, that Friday we always sucked, and on Saturday they performed. So what is your view on that as a psychologist?
You know what? I mean, slightly my view is like I took that loss a little bit on myself, because first of all, they were really excited. Like they put on themselves a lot of pressure, like we need to win this, and it's like it's G2, so that's like it's critical for us to win. We'll show them. And that was like totally not needed. And I was saying to the guys, like, guys, calm down. It doesn't matter. If you lose, we lose. Like, just give yourself a break. So they were in that trying hard mode. And when you're in that trying hard mode, you tend to play passive, and you tend to make a lot of mistakes because you're afraid to fail your teammates. So this is what happened, actually. So the game was like totally different from what they were doing in scrims. Plus, like they were simply passive. They were afraid to make mistakes. And I guess, they didn't feel also like very comfortable with the new meta. It was like, a new season for them, new meta. They didn't know what teams would be playing. So there was like this additional pressure on them. But the next day, they kind of get into the thinking that, yes, we can do it. We know what it all takes to win. So basically, they had to pull themselves together. And, their coach, Freddie, he's also really well prepared for the meta. So I guess they started trusting each other, and let's hope the trust will be there still, also on a high level. So the performance is also there.
So is there a 2-0 week coming up?
I hope so, but don't ask me those type of questions, because if it's not, then I feel really bad. No, it's actually, the thing is that they have all it takes, to have the 2-0.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if they will apply, and if they will especially start listening to each other, which is now I would say one of the issues they have, they'll be 2-0. Because they're really good with well prepared with the meta and with what is being played at the moment. But if the communication will fail, and they will again be afraid and put on themselves a lot of pressure, which I already told them how to kind of avoid that. Then if they will avoid that, I think it's a 2-0.
Okay. In regards to the team, the environment we changed a lot for this split. So how would you rate the new environment around them, like the house and the staff?
It's much better, It's much better. I really like the environment. I really like the gaming house. It's really good. However, I was a bit of a fan of having in the office, of having the space and forcing the players a little bit to go out and play in a different place. So they changed the environment a little bit. Because now what's happening is that very often they just get up, sit in front of the computer, and it's like the same, and they're constantly in the same place.
But
so
with the other
tiring for them.
But with the other setup, we saw the same thing. I mean, they just went to the office, and when they came back, they just stayed in their room and played all night as well. So
so at some point, this is good because it makes them be together all the time. If somebody's tired, they just go to bed. But at some point, there's like good stuff in this facility and in the other, because the other facility was forcing them to go out to look at the green environment around, which is already loading them with positive energy, birds singing on the way and whatever. But this time, like, they just get up and they are kind of trapped in the house, so they're not going out too much. And I guess with time it can be a little bit tiring for them.
But some of them are going to working out and stuff like that, right? So
yeah,
it's not just
the good stuff that they have is the balcony, so they can just go out, sit and discuss the game or like whatever. Like, this is something that is really good for them.
Yeah,
so I really like that. Yeah. But and the place is really good, and you know, they have everything ready. They have the food. They have Hannah supporting them a lot. So for me, the conditions are like, they're amazing. The only, like, I would be like 100% happy if in between the games, if there would be park near, so they can discuss stuff during the game and so on outside, and then can get back on training. So that would be for me like perfect, perfect for their head, basically.
Yeah, it's a lot of stairs.
Tell me about it.
So it's a loft for everyone who doesn't know. So it's on top of a old building.
Yeah, if you have heels and you're trying to go to the 4th floor, it's better you just take the shoes off.
No elevator. And but in general, I have the feeling they are much more aware of like their bodies, their food. I mean,
it's definitely changing. Yeah. It's really good that the players started looking at their how fit they are. Like, they're trying to work out, they're watching their weight as well. So this is like changing positively, because you know, if players are like overweight a lot, it's also you know, they react to things slower, and they are a little bit less confident, I would say. So the confidence you have in yourself is also the confidence that you have in game. It's quite similar. So if you don't believe in yourself and you're kind of care a lot how people look at you, the way you look, the way you eat, and so on, it can be an additional pressure you don't need, right? So
and also it's a type of discipline, you know, like if you have a workout routine, or if you have to watch your weight and you can't eat like everything, it kind of teaches you a certain thinking of discipline as well. Right?
Exactly. And I've noticed that the more you force the players to do that, the least happy they are about it. If you don't force them but just give them an option, they are more keen to do what it takes to take care of themselves, of their body, and you know, everything. Yep. So it's definitely going the right direction.
So one last question regarding that. So is that something you see across the whole league, or just with our team and maybe some other teams?
I've noticed that happening, like a big boom for the fit and everything was last year. So I see that almost every single team is having the gym, you know, passes and everything. So this is good. The thing is that I'm a little bit skeptical that everybody goes to the gym. Like, if you're an esport player, everybody goes to the gym. Like, people are a little bit forgetting that, you know, they can do swimming, they can do running, biking. Like, these are also the activities that will load you with tons of energy and tons of like positive emotions. And at the same time, you have contact with different environment than the closed environment. So, you know, I would definitely recommend to keep their, you know, head open for other activities, especially that we have summer now. And, you know, biking or swimming, these are the things that, you know, can also be really beneficial.
And regarding that, you introduce like 1 day per month or something like that, or 2? I'm not sure the amount, but for team activities, right?
I mean, I definitely suggest to do team activities twice per month.
No, I mean now for our team, we're actually doing it, right?
Yeah, we are doing it. The thing is that, you know, with the current meta, players don't want to waste their time. Like, for them, it's a little bit time wasting, because they are doing a lot of research at this moment.
But they already went climbing.
Yeah, they did, and actually they did really well as far as I know. So, you know, I know that this activity works. So you know, it was good to see that they were enjoying it. Yeah,
so,
I didn't.
So you know what's planned next? Are they gonna like boulder or anything like that, or?
I would send them to a laser tag. It would be also fun. Or
no paintball, so it hurts.
It hurts, but laser tag doesn't. Or
but I'm saying that it should be paintball, so it hurts.
And then, indeed.
And then Fred and me are gonna join.
Yeah, we're going to shoot them up, man.
Yes. It's gonna be fun.
Good. But also they could go to the huge like swimming area in Berlin, like water park or something like that.
No, you mean a tropic island?
Yeah, something like that. They could go there also for like one Sunday when they have a day off. That would be also really fun. I think they were also mentioning it. So
yeah, maybe.
So yeah, I mean, whatever they do, if they do it together, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, we should join and film it.
Yeah, we will join them, and in the next episode where we will talk to, in the next episode in which we will talk to one of the players, we will tell them go to the pool, man.
No, I'm saying we join them to make a video out of it.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, if you tell them that, they will know it came from me because I was already asking if they want to go to the swimming pool or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the people want to see us in swimming shorts. Oh, well, maybe. Cool. I got one last question to you. Mm-hmm. Do you have some quick tips for normal solo queue players, for everyday guys like us, like the listeners, maybe?
Yeah, I think that for League of Legends, like definitely the thing is that players should not be aiming to winning their game on their own. Like this is huge. Even if you play solo queue, you need to have somehow the trust that others are capable of doing it as well. Because if you try too hard, then you end up feeding, and the whole team is angry at you. Plus, I think it's all about the mindset, right? If you put on yourself a lot of expectation into getting into challenger or like whatever, the more pressure you put on yourself, the more passive you are, and then you're afraid of making mistakes. So, if you approach the game with a little bit of a chill and excitement for what you do, then just do it. And if you start losing, you feel that, the tilt is there, you're angry already, like don't play the next game. Like don't bother. Like go take a walk.
It's so easy to say.
I know. I'm doing it myself, actually. I mean, not tilting, but just, when I see myself angry, I'm like, should I play the next one or should I just go and do something else for like 10, 15 minutes? So, yeah. But, it's easy to say if you're silver,
Whoa. Too many mojitos.
Nah. So basically, no, but I'm like, if I play 2 games in a week, this is like the maximum. Now when I have kids and a lot of obligations, it's not that easy to play. So if I'm capable of playing 1 game or 2 games in a week, like for me, like this is like so rewarding,
One last question.
Yes.
So for your kids, if they have the chance to be a esports professional, would that be a viable career path for you as a mom?
Actually, you know what? I was already asked that question, and I don't know whether I replied it to that question or I was just laughing. But if they would be behaving like a professionals, with the limitations to their hours they play, with how they approach esport, and plus they have friends, they're going out, they spend time actively outside as well, and they know that it's not only work but there are other things around, I don't mind. Like of course. And they have mom that can coach them.
Yeah,
but not of course on the game stuff, because I'm totally bad at it, and Freddie's laughing at me all the time I'm there because I'm saying some stupid stuff all the time, but mostly on the performance level. Like I can be their like performance coach.
So yeah, let's see where esports is in 15 years.
Yeah, hopefully
when they're old enough.
Yeah, it would be pretty fun to talk in like 10 years and see how the esport actually changed.
Yeah, I mean, that's even fun now, like for 5 years. I mean, how did esport look like 5 years ago?
Hey, you remember the room the Fnatic were playing, like in the first championship? Like, it was a Dreamhack. Like it was a little room with 10 PCs. That's it. And then now we have studios. And then when you look at the worlds, it's like there are 100,000 of people like gathered and watching and everything.
Yeah.
So it's, like,
actually, there's a funny story to the first World Cup. So there was also an Asian team. I think they were from the Philippines, and they didn't have jerseys. And we had a booth back then at Dreamhack as ROCCAT. And they went around and asked if someone has like matching shirts, like 5 shirts. So we had some and we gave it to them. So they did advertisement for free for us.
Nice.
During the first World Cup, because they didn't have jerseys. So yeah,
they needed clothes. Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, there was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first esports event I actually watched. And I didn't even know it was esports.
Okay.
I just played League of Legends, and then it popped up in the client, I think. And then everyone was talking about Hotshot GG in Italy.
Well, next step for esport, I guess, is to going to the Olympics. I can't wait to see that.
But okay, that's another topic we can discuss in the whole podcast.
Wow, this is
If the
huge.
Olympics need the esports, or if esports need Olympics?
We gotta have someone from the Olympic Committee for this podcast. That would be awesome.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, in Asia, it's already announced, right? In the Asian Olympics, the esport will be
Really?
there. So yeah, and
It's just
that was huge.
it's not completely integrated. I think they just do a pre-run to see how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I was reading an article that a guy that is actually dealing with the regular Olympics, he was also involved in that to see how it will, came out. So finger crossed.
Yeah,
you
let's
never
see.
know.
But I mean, the question is really: does esport needs the Olympics, or does the Olympics needs esports?
The Olympics, yeah, I think it's the other way around a little bit. They are jealous what we have.
I mean, we don't need TV anymore. Like, imagine 5 years ago, you want to establish a sport. Without TV, that was like impossible. And nowadays, we just need streams, no TV involved. And,
every
this
time I'm
is
just,
crazy.
turning a stream on and I'm like hardly ever watching TV. So basically, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, Urszula, thank you very much for this very interesting interview, for these insights into esports psychology.
Any last words from you, or?
Just fingers crossed. I mean, I hope we'll reach playoffs. Like, this is our nearest goal. So, guys, you need to be keeping those fingers crossed, because I think the team is definitely capable of doing it. So if they give themselves what it takes to win, I'm really optimistic that we'll end up in playoffs.
So playoffs is the prediction you're gonna make, or something higher?
Yeah, I mean, that's the minimum. I know they're capable of doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
So now it's up to them what they will do with all the capabilities.
All right, then maybe we talk again to each other in the future and see each other in Berlin. And we thank you very much and have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Urszula Klimczak, the official psychologist of Team ROCCAT. Any surprises for you, Tien?
I mean, in general, I was always interested into this type of stuff.
Yeah.
For myself as well as an athlete. But also, like I said in the last podcast, I was coaching them for 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
So I was going into that direction as well.
Okay, so you already knew about it.
So my philosophy aligns perfectly with hers. So I know. Like I think really American in that type of space, I would say, and that's what every team is doing in America. So I always watch like Hard Knocks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
great series where you can see like really what's behind a team.
Okay. All right, so now we're coming to the part of the show where our listeners can raise their voice, can say something, can interact with us. We gave you the promise that we will read out loud in this podcast every iTunes rating that you give us. And we got some new from user Heiselosting. Rocket Rules, 5 stars. I love your podcast. Please send me some of your products.
Nope.
Thank you that you're interested in, but no. Roden 1980 writes, sauber, viele Grüße nach Hamburg, höre jede Woche weiter so, Jungs.
So lots of greetings to Hamburg. I listen to the podcast every week. Keep going.
Yeah. And one iTunes rating from Kapong53. Very nice, 5 stars. Really like the idea of focusing on the players as personalities.
Nice. Someone gets our idea.
We do as well. Thanks. Follow ROCCAT on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. If you want to interact with us, if you have any questions, use the hashtag ESPORTS ROCSTARS. Give us the iTunes rating. You can listen to this podcast via YouTube, via Spotify, and via the podcast app of your choice, whatever it will be. And see you next week. Tien and Fred, say goodbye.
We're out. Bye.
Bye.